Sometimes the hardest hurts in a marriage are not the loud, slam the door kind. Sometimes it is one sentence, one look, one sharp little moment at the kitchen sink or in the truck or right before bed, and it lands on your heart like a stone in a mason jar. You hear that clink and you think, well, now that did not just sting, that bruised me. And I want to start right there. If your feelings are hurt, then your feelings are hurt. You do not have to act tough. You do not have to pretend you are above it. You do not have to smile and say, oh, it is nothing, when inside you are folding up like a lawn chair in a windstorm. Name it plain. That hurt me. What you said sat heavy on my heart. I feel tender right now. There is a kind of wisdom in telling the truth early. Not mean, not dramatic, just true. Because when we refuse to name pain, it does not disappear. It just goes underground. And honey, underground things have a way of growing roots in the dark. Then 3 days later, you are fussing over how the dishwasher got loaded, and it is not about the dishwasher at all. It is about that bruise you never tended. Now, naming the hurt does not mean reacting the very second the spark hits dry grass. Lord, no. If you are hot with anger, pause. Go drink some water. Step outside. Put your hands on the counter and breathe. Count to 10 if that helps. Count to 30 if you are extra spicy that day. The point is, do not let anger grab the microphone before your heart gets a say. I have lived long enough to know this much. The first thing we want to say when we feel wounded is often not the wisest thing. It is usually something sharp, something meant to make the other person feel what we feel. And I understand that urge, I surely do. But pain flung outward tends to come boomeranging right back. Then instead of one bruise, now you have got two. So pause, not to stuff it down, not to swallow your feelings whole, just to make room between the hurt and the response. In that little space, you can ask yourself, what actually happened here? What did I hear? What did I feel? What do I need to say so I do not make this worse? And while you are in that pause, be real kind to yourself. A tender heart does not need shame piled on top of it. You are not weak because you got hurt. You are not childish because words matter to you. You are human. The person you love has the closest access to your heart, so of course their words can leave a mark. That is not failure. That is closeness. I think sometimes folks shame themselves for being sensitive. They say, I should be over this by now, or it should not bother me this much. Maybe, maybe not. But beating yourself up while you are already hurting is like kicking your own shin after bumping it on the bed frame. It adds nothing but extra misery. So here is the first gentle step. Tell yourself the truth. Take a breath before you speak. And treat your own heart like something worth tending. The same way I would not yank open a hive when the bees are stirred up, I would not yank open a hard conversation at the peak of my temper. Timing matters. Gentleness matters. And your heart, sweet thing, matters too. Once the first heat has settled a bit, then comes the brave part, saying what hurt without turning it into a courtroom drama. You are not there to win a case. You are there to tell the truth in a way your spouse can actually hear. That usually starts with plain old I statements. Not fancy, not stiff, just honest. I felt dismissed when that happened. I felt embarrassed when you said that in front of other people. My heart sank when I heard those words. See the difference? You are describing the impact on your heart, not swinging a hammer at their character. Now, I am not saying you have to talk like a greeting card. You can sound like yourself. You should sound like yourself, but keep your feet under you. Stay with what happened and what it did to you. That helps so much because the minute we jump to, you always do this, you never care, you are just selfish, well, most people stop listening and start gearing up for battle. And that brings me to something real useful. Ask for listening before the explaining begins. You can say, I need you to just hear me out first. Or, please do not defend it yet. Let me finish. That is not controlling. That is making a little container for honesty. A lot of hurt gets tangled up because one person is trying to express pain, while the other person is already building a rebuttal like they are in a debate club. No, ma'am. No, sir. First, let the wound be seen and keep it to the specific moment. That is mighty important. If today you are talking about what happened at breakfast, stay with breakfast. Do not go dragging in Christmas of 2017, that awful vacation, the time their mama said something rude, and every other sore patch in the whole marriage. I mean, you can almost hear the wagon wheels coming off when that starts. Specific is kinder. Specific is clearer. When you interrupted me at breakfast and laughed, I felt small. That gives your spouse something they can understand, something they can respond to. But if you dump every old wound onto the table at once, the conversation gets muddy fast. Then nobody knows what they're apologizing for, and everybody leaves tired. This does not mean old hurts never matter. Sometimes there is a pattern, and patterns do need attention. But if you are trying to heal one fresh bruise, start there. One thing at a time, one moment, one truth. And try to speak from the soft center, not the armored edge. That is hard, I know. The armored edge feels safer. Sarcasm feels safer. Coldness feels safer. But they do not often bring closeness. Soft truth does. I do not want to fight. I want you to understand why I am hurting. That right there can change the whole tone in a room. If your voice shakes, let it shake. If you need a minute, take it. This is not about polished words. It is about honest ones. Tell the truth of the moment. Ask to be heard before they explain. Stay with the actual hurt in front of you. That is how you open a conversation without pouring gasoline on it. Now, after the hurt is named and the listening happens, what most hearts are longing for is repair. Not perfection, repair. And there is a difference. A sincere apology is part of that, not just the quick little, sorry, okay, tossed over the shoulder while somebody is looking at their phone. A healing apology has understanding in it. It sounds more like, I see why that hurt you. I understand what landed wrong. I did not handle that well, and I am sorry. That kind of apology lets you know they are not just trying to end the conversation. They are trying to reach your heart. Words matter, but understanding matters more. Because if somebody says, I am sorry, and still acts confused about why you are wounded, the bruise does not really get tended. You are left thinking, well, do you get it? Or are we just sweeping this under the rug till next Tuesday? And once there is some understanding, then comes the practical part. What needs to change so the same hurt does not keep circling back? Not in a punishing way, in a hopeful way. Maybe it is, please do not tease me about that in front of other people. Maybe it is, if we are upset, let us not do this when we are exhausted. Maybe it is, when I say I am hurt, I need you to slow down and listen instead of jumping in. Small, clear changes. That is where trust starts rebuilding. Because let me tell you, repeated hurt wears grooves. If the same wound keeps getting bumped, a heart starts bracing. It starts pulling back, not because it wants distance, but because it is tired. So if both of you can talk honestly about what needs to be different, that is not criticism. That is care. That is saying this matters enough to protect. Then, after the talk, do not underestimate small kindness. Big speeches are fine, but everyday tenderness is what stitches things up. A hand on the shoulder, a cup of coffee made the way they like it, sitting close on the couch instead of opposite ends like two grumpy cats, a softer tone, a check in later that day. How are you feeling now? Closeness often returns by inches, not miles. Patience helps. Steady presence helps. Not one grand gesture followed by more of the same old hurt, but a series of small, faithful moments that say, I am here, I care, I am trying. And if you are the one who got hurt, it is all right if repair takes a little time. Forgiveness and warmth do not always leap back into the room the instant an apology shows up. Sometimes your heart needs a minute to believe what your ears just heard. That does not make you difficult. It makes you honest. So if your marriage has had one of those bruising moments lately, start simple. Name the hurt. Speak it clearly. Listen for understanding. Ask what needs to change, then let kindness do its quiet work. Most things worth growing do not bloom in a day. Lord knows my tomatoes never did. But with care, with patience, with steady tending, a bruised heart can soften again. I am real glad you spent this little stretch of time with me. Take good care of that heart of yours, and I will meet you back here soon for another visit on Heart to Heart with Mama.